I'm so excited that you are tuning in to do a little bit more studying for our math test, which is tomorrow. So great job being here. We are going to take a look at the study guide again. I'd love for you to follow along. And we are going to look at some clocks, figure out what time it is. And we're also going to look at a couple of problems where we're having to calculate the elapsed time. So keep in mind, when we're doing problems like this, we're going to do these problems on a number line, and we're going to mark how long each of our hops is in terms of time, and then we're also going to mark on the number line what time it is as we hop around on the number line. So stay tuned and let's have some fun. Here we go. We're starting at number 1 in here. We're looking at this cute little alarm clock, and the question is, what time is showing on the clock? We are going to look at the hour first. We know that the hour is related to the shorthand. So we're looking at both of these hands. This one is shorter, and I see the shorthand has just passed 10. So we know the hour is 10. And now we have to figure out, well, what are the minutes? That's the second part of the time that we're going to figure out on the clock. So the shorthand is the hours. The longhand are the minutes. And I see the longhand, and I'm sure you do as well, is on the 2. We know that for the minutes on the clock, we count by 5s. And so technically here is 0. So let's go around and count by 5s to figure out what time is it. What is the minutes? What are the minutes portion of this time? So we have 0, 5, 10. The minute hand is on the 2. What that means in minutes is 10, because again, we're counting by 5s as we're going around the large numbers on the clock, because there's 5 minutes that happen in between each number. I know that it's really small. It's kind of hard to see. I'll pull up a larger version of a clock so we can look at that a little bit more closely. So the time on this clock is 10:10. We don't know if it's AM or PM. We're not handling that on this problem. But using words, right, one way you can read the time. So a really good explanation here is that we can write the shorthand is the hours, and the shorthand is on the 10. And maybe I can even draw an arrow showing the shorthand is on the hours. So the hours here is 10. And then the longhand is, of course, going to show our minutes. And for this clock, we can see the longhand is on the 2, but that doesn't mean that it's 10:02 or 10:02. We count by 5s for the minutes. And that's why all of that handy practice and multiplication is really serving us well right now. So the shorthand is the hours, that's on 10, and then the longhand shows the minutes. But of course, we need to remember to count by 10s when we're showing the minutes portion of the time. I grabbed this clock instead so that we have a fresh clock. Okay, so what time is it? If your hour hand, keep in mind the hour hand is the shorthand. And the hour, when we're doing time, we're always going to be looking at the hour first. So the hour hand is the shorthand. So let's go ahead and use this clock and put that hour hand between 4 and 5. And I'm going to make sure that I make this hour hand nice and short. Perfect. And the minute hand is on the 10. So the minute hand, we know, is the longer one. And I'm going to I want to make sure this is really precisely on the 10. So I have a clock that is between 4 and 5. So the hour, we've just passed 4. So I know the hour for this time is going to be 4 o'clock. And the minute hand is on 10. It's not 4:10 because, of course, we know that in minutes, we're always going to count by 5s. So let's start at 12 and let's count all the way around by 5s to figure out what is the minute portion of this time. So here we start at 0, and we're going to start counting by 5s at 1. So we have 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and 50. When the minute hand is on the 10, that is actually 50 minutes. And that makes sense because I see we're 10 minutes away from 60 minutes, or when we start at 0 again. So the time here is 4:50, and we know that because the hour hand is right between 4 and 5, and then that long minute hand is touching the 10. Okay, my loves, number 3 is really straightforward. We're looking at Vitaly checked the time on his watch after he finished walking the dog. Well, this is his watch. What time did he return from walking the dog? So here we're just looking at this clock, or at his watch, and we're going to look at the shorthand first because that's going to be our hours. Can you guys see the shorthand versus the longhand? So yeah, this is the shorthand. Probably highlight that. So this is going to be your shorthand, and you can see the shorthand has just passed 8. So that is going to tell us that the hour is 8. Very good. Next, we're going to fill in our minutes. So the minutes are just a little tricky. Well, they're not tricky for you because you guys love counting by 5s. Our minutes are going to be, try to zoom in on this a little bit, given to us by the long hand. So we have shorthand in blue. I'll put our long hand in yellow. You can see the long hand is not touching the 4 and it's not touching the 5. It's just a little bit before the 5. So let's count by 5s and figure out what we're dealing with here for the minutes. So we're going to start always at 0 here at the 12. So we have 0. Now count by 5s because there's 5 minutes in between each of these large numbers on the clock. 5, 10, 15, 20. Again, 5 would be 25. Do you see how the minute hand is just one little notch before 25? So what number comes before 25? 24. Yes, yes, yes. So the clock, the watch is showing right now 8:24. Another way we could look at this is by counting by 5s. We'll start at 0 at 12. So we have 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, and then we can count by 1s after we get here to the 20 or the 4, 21, 22, 23, 24. So he finished walking his dog at 8:24. Great job walking that dog, Vitaly. Okay, my friends, for this next one, I wanted to pull up this nice little anchor chart that we've been using so that we can remember what some of these terms mean. So for number 4, we see Andrew wakes up at 1:45 or till. Another way we could say this is until. It really is short term for until. 8 o'clock in the morning. At what time does Andrew wake up? Remember to include AM or PM. So we're looking at 7:45. Let's try to remember, and hopefully we have this by this point. What does a quarter mean when we're talking about time? A quarter means 15 minutes, right? Because we think about the clock as being cut into quarters or being cut into fourths. And there are 5, 10, 15 minutes inside of 1 quarter. So whenever you see quarter, I want your brain to immediately think, hey, we're talking about 15 minutes. So Andrew wakes up at 7:45, meaning this is before 8 o'clock. So if he's waking up before 8 o'clock, I'm thinking, okay, before 8 o'clock, the time before 8 o'clock is going to be 7 o'clock. And if this clock, let's look at this clock. So this clock is showing 8 o'clock. We know that he woke up 15 minutes before 8 o'clock, which means we're going to be taking away 15 minutes from 8 o'clock. Keep in mind, 15 minutes is a quarter. So now we're going to be going back in time 15 minutes before 8 o'clock. And now we have to think about, well, what time is that? This clock, I'll show you in pink, is showing 8 o'clock because the shorthand is touching the 8 and the longhand is touching the 12, which means o'clock. Now let's count back 15 minutes and see what time that would be. We already know it's going to be 7 something. So let's count back by fives to see what the minute hand is going to be touching when we go back 15 minutes. Okay, so we're going to take a 5-minute leap, 5, and now we're at 10 and 15. Okay, so if the minute hand is at 9, what time is it going to be? What time is it going to be when the minute hand is touching 9? Many of us might know, hopefully, automatically that time is going to be 7:45. If you don't know that, that's totally okay. We can always start at 12 and go all the way around counting by fives. We know that when we're starting at 12, we're kind of resetting at 0. So let's just do that together. Let's go and count all the way around by fives to make sure that when our minute hand is touching this 9, that we're at 45. Here goes. So we're 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Yes, we were right. Fabulous. So if we're looking at quarter till 8, really what we're saying is 7:45. This is 15 minutes before 8 is 7:45. And what time do we wake up in the morning? Do we wake up in the morning in the AM or the PM? Yes, thank you so much. I can hear you from your house. We wake up each morning when it is AM. Okay, we had a team of ladies do such a great job reviewing this one in class, so I'm just going to go through this one really quickly. Sarah looked at her clock. Here's the clock. As she walked to soccer practice after school, write the time using AM or PM. Okay, so immediately we're seeing, well, this is after school. And that means it's after lunch, and we know after school is going to be in the late afternoon, which is going to be PM. So the digital time, we could just copy it right over, is showing 4:32 PM. We know again it's PM because of this hint right here that it's after school. And now we're just going to explain how do we know how to read time using a digital clock. And again, I'm totally fine. Actually, I think it's a great idea for you guys simply just to label 4 on the digital clock is the hour. 32 represent our minutes. And then after school, we know that's going to be PM. So these are all wonderful ways just to really simply label how to read a digital clock and then also how to understand that this was PM. Okay, my friends, looking at this next one, which is number 6. This is one of those elapsed time problems. So let's read what's going on in this one. We have Lana's swimming practice started at the time shown on the clock below. Lana warmed up for 15 minutes. Super important. I like to circle this information so we can keep track of it. Come on, little friend. Hopefully it'll let me. 15 minutes, beautiful. Then she swam laps for 55 minutes. At what time did swimming practice end? Be sure to show your thinking. And again, we're going to be showing our thinking on a timeline because this is a really nice, clear way to show all of our reasoning. Okay, so the first question is, what time did our practice start? So we know that our practice started on the time shown below. So here's where we have to identify what time it is on the clock. So first we're going to look at the hours. We know the hours are shown with the shorthand. I can see the shorthand has just passed 10. So I know the hour is 10. And then we're going to look at the longhand for the minutes. You guys know that the longhand is when we're going to be counting by fives. We'll start at the top at 0 and then count by fives as we cross each of these large numbers. Here we go. 0, 5, 10. So the time just happens to be 10, 10. 10 with hours and then 10 with the minutes. That's kind of fun. So this is her beginning time. She started at the time shown on the clock below. So now we know that our number line is going to start at 10:10. The big question is, well, when did her practice end? So we're going to use the information in our problem to fill in the stuff that she did in between. Well, what did she do in between? First, she warmed up for 15 minutes. Okay, great. So we're starting at 10:10, and we're going to warm up for 15 minutes. That means I'm going to take a hop of 15 minutes. We were at 10:10. We hopped for 15 minutes, and now it's going to be 10. I'm going to add 15 and 10 together, and we should be able to do that in our head pretty easily. Now the time is going to be 10:25. Very cool. I'm going to cross this out so that I know I made that hop. Now the time is 10:25, and now we're going to hop 55 minutes. I know that there's a few different ways we can do this. I know that 1 hour, no, I'm going to simplify this a little bit. I want to figure out how many minutes I need to hop to get to 11 o'clock. Because that's a nice round number. So I know if I hop 5 minutes, are you guys thinking the same thing? The time is going to be 10:30. Wonderful. And then if we're at 10:30 and we hop 30 more minutes, we're going to be at this nice round time of 11 o'clock. So we're trying to put in her 55-minute lap time. So far, so we did the 15 minutes, that's all done. So far, we've jumped 35 minutes. Well, I need to show 55 minutes. So far, we've jumped 35 minutes. So how many more minutes does she need to travel before we get to the end of practice? Well, all we have to do is think about 55 minus 35, and I hope you're thinking what I'm thinking. That means we have 20 more minutes to travel. So we're at 11 o'clock, and we hop 20 more minutes. Keep in mind this is not proportional at all, so I don't want that to be, it's distracting me a little bit, but I don't want that to be misleading you. We're at 11 o'clock, we hop 20 more minutes. And that means, I'm going to end my number line a little bit early. That means that our practice is ending at 11:20. I'm just going to put our final answer down here. I'm thinking swimming practice, usually on a Saturday morning, 11:20. That's going to be 11:20 a.m. Because if we were finishing swim practice at 11:20 p.m., that would be way past your bedtime. So this is going to be 11:20 a.m. We showed a 15-minute hop, and then we decomposed 55 into 30 plus 20, which is 50, and then 5 more. I broke 55 into these 3 hops just so that we could hop around easily on the number line and understand like a really clear time for each. So you can break 55 up into a few different ways. I think I had a really clever group that broke 55 up into 5 10s and a 5. It's totally up to you, as long as you're showing your number line with the times and the amounts that you're hopping around above. Okay, my friends, we're going to move on to number 7. And in number 7, we're looking at some more of the language. Let me write. Come on, let me write. Stand by. Okay, good. We're looking at this quarter to language. That means quarter until or a quarter. Stop being goofy. I feel like it's not letting me write. Quarter. Okay, just be nice. just be nice. A quarter, I'll write this down here because it's being so goofy. A quarter before. And you guys know, I pulled up this chart again, you guys know that a quarter in time means 15 minutes. Beautiful. So Lewis started his homework at 6:15, which means 15. We have to do a little bit of translating through in these. I think that's why we really need to take our time. So this really means, oh dear. This really means 15 minutes before. This is being kind of silly. There we go. 15 minutes before 6. So I know it's before 6 o'clock. I'm thinking about, what time comes before 6 o'clock? 5 comes before 6 o'clock. And if it's 15 minutes before 6 o'clock, I could just use these clocks here and think, okay, so I know that when the minute hand is on the 12, that's an o'clock. If the minute hand moves back 15 minutes, I'm just imagining it here, 5, 10, 15. When the minute hand is pointing towards the 9, that's going to be at 45. So 15 minutes before 6 o'clock is going to be 5:45. Another way to say this is 6:15. You could say 5:45, or you could say 6:15. They mean the same thing. So he started, so this is where our number line is going to start for this problem. So he started his homework at 6:15, or 5:45, and he finished his homework, this hardworking kid, at 7:05. So our job, my friends, is to figure out how much time is there between 5:45 and 7:05. So we're going to hop around on our number line, and I'm going to take a hop of 1 hour because that's a nice round hop. And I can think, we're at 5:45, we hop up 1 hour, and I know the time will be then 6:45. We still have a little bit further to go to 7:05. So let's think about how much further do we have to hop to get to 7 o'clock. That's a nice round number. I'm at 6:45. We want to get to 7 o'clock. Again, this is those quarters, right? So if the minute hand is touching the 9 at 6:45, how many minutes does it need to travel to get back up to 7 o'clock? Well, we can just count by fives again. 5, 10, 15. We take another hop of 15 minutes, and we go from 6:45 to 7. And then this is so nice. We just have to take one more hop from 7 to 7:05 of 5 minutes. And now we're at the end time for the homework completion. We started at 5:45, 6:15, ended at 7:05. We showed our hops, and now we just have to look at our hops and think, well, how much time did this hardworking kid spend on his homework? I see 1 hour, and then I see 15 minutes and 5 minutes. Together, 15 minutes and 5 minutes are 20 minutes. So this kid spent 1 hour and 20 minutes on his homework. Great job, Lewis. Okay, number 8 is Jasline's art class started at 10:25. The class lasted, and this is 10:25 a.m., the class lasted for 45 minutes. What time did our class end? Okay, awesome. This is a pretty simple problem, and this problem is going to begin at 10:25 a.m. And we're going to hop for 45 minutes, and we need to figure out what time did her class end. So I'm thinking if I hop, just take a simple hop of 5. I'm at 10:25, I hop 5, poof, now I'm at 10:30. Keep track, we want to travel for 45 minutes total. Now I'm thinking, okay, I'm at 10:30. I want to get to another nice round time of 11 o'clock, which is very convenient. How far do I need to travel to get from 10:30 to 11? Well, that's another 30 minutes. So far, I'm at 11 o'clock. I've traveled 30 plus 5 minutes. I need to travel 45 minutes. So I've traveled 35 minutes. And I need to travel for 45 minutes. I know that I only need to travel one more hop of 10 minutes, which will get me 10 plus 35, which will get me that 45 minutes. But what we need to figure out is, well, if I'm at 11 o'clock and I hop forward 10 minutes, what time will it be? Well, the time will be 11:10, and that will still be a.m. Again, I'm going to end my number line a little bit early. This is our final ending time for Jaslyn's art class, but now we have to decide. There are a few that are true here. So which of these options are the same as 11:10? 10 minutes after 11. Well, that means 11 is the hour and 10 are the minutes. Are 11:10 and 11:10 the same? Boom, 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 boom. Absolutely, yes. That's totally correct. Let's look at B, 11:10 p.m. Is that the same as 11:10 a.m.? No. Let's cross that out. 12:10 a.m. Is that the same as 11:10 a.m.? You and I both know that's not true. D, 11:10 a.m. 11:10 a.m. Absolutely. That's correct. 10 minutes to 11, which is really saying 10 minutes before 11. Well, what hour comes before 11? That's going to be 10. And if we're at 11 o'clock, looking 10 minutes before that, that's going to be 10:50. Are 10:50 and 11:10 the same? They certainly are not. We're going to cross that out. Looking at this final option, 12 p.m., we all know that's not the same as 11:10. So for this, number 8, our options, our correct answers are going to be A and D. Okay, my friends, we're moving on to number 9, where we see Mr. Hungry spent 35 minutes making dinner. Then he spent 16 minutes eating dinner. He finished eating at 7:15 p.m. At what time did Mr. Hungry start making dinner? Okay, my friends, so for a problem like this, it's super important that we understand before we just start jumping around on the number line. So I'm going to circle all of these important bits of information, and I hope that you're imagining this happen just like you would any story that you're reading, because this really is a story problem. So are you guys imagining him making dinner? Maybe he's making a big feast in his kitchen. He's making probably a mess. And then he makes this big feast that takes him 35 minutes. And then he sits down, maybe lights a candle, and enjoys the feast for 16 minutes. Finally, he looks at his watch and sees that the time is 7:15 p.m. So this is one of the problems where we have the end time, but now we're going to travel backwards to figure out what time did he start making this feast. So when we're hopping around on the number line, again, we want to hop around in a way that makes sense to us. So I'm thinking, okay, so we're at 7:15. We're going to hop backwards. I like a nice round number. So I'm thinking, well, if we hop back 15 minutes, what time is it going to be? Well, the time is going to be 7 o'clock, and that is very, very helpful. But of course, I'm not looking for 15 minutes. He spent 16 minutes eating dinner. So we need to hop back one more minute to have our 16 minutes. So if we're at 7 o'clock and we go backwards 1 minute, it's going to be 1 minute before 7, which is 6:59. So we have our 16 minutes. We have 1 and 15 all accounted for. Now I'm going back and I'm thinking, well, it's not like super convenient, but I can do a little subtraction. And I can think, okay, 6:59, hop back 35 minutes. You can absolutely do some subtraction on the side. Please don't try to do 59 minus 35 in your head. Let's just do it here on the side to make sure that we're getting the correct answer. So 9 minus 5 is 4. And then 5 minus 3 is 2. So if I'm at 6:59, which again is 16 minutes backwards from 7:15. So 6:59, we hop back 35 minutes. That's how long he took to make dinner. The time is going to be 6. We did 59 minus 35, 24. Ding, 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 ding. Wonderful. So I know this is still going to be PM because this is at night. And the time that he started making his giant feast will be 6:24. Okay, my friends, we have one problem left for our big test review. And this one is looking at Brian, who was at practice for 55 minutes. He left the gym at 5:15. What time did Brian arrive at the gym for practice? Show your thinking. Okay, my friends. So for this one, I hope you're imagining this happening. He practiced for 55 minutes and he was finished by 5:15. We know that how long he was there, but we're trying to figure out is what time did practice start? Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we're at 5:15. That's what time he was leaving the gym. We're at 5:15. I'm thinking, well, let's take a hop back of 15 minutes. And that's going to give us a nice, even 5 o'clock. Beautiful. Let's hop back. So we're at 5 o'clock. Let's hop back another 30 minutes. And when we travel from 5 o'clock back 30 minutes, that is when we are going to end up at 4:30. So he's 55 minutes total. Let's see how long we've traveled so far. So we're looking at 30 and 15, which is going to be 45 minutes. We know that he practiced for 55 minutes. The difference between these two numbers is just 10. So when we take back one hop of 10, we're at 4:30. We hopped back 10 minutes, and now the time is 4:20, which is when Brian had to arrive at the gym. So we started backwards here. 5:15, we hopped back 15 minutes, and then 30 minutes and 10 minutes. 10 plus 30 is 40, plus 15 is that 55 minutes. We did little hops because we want to make sure that we are paying close attention to when the hours change. So that's why hopping back to 5 o'clock is really nice, and then we can hop back in small increments. Please make sure that we're labeling our timeline along the way. And that not only shows your thinking, but also shows the correct final answer. I am very excited for you guys to show all of your great thinking tomorrow. And again, wonderful job at being responsible and taking your learning into your own hands. I will see you all in the morning. Thanks for watching.